my embarrassment brings you some wisdom, and today I'm going to share my worst purchases that I've made in my early 20s. I saw Allison and Kali do these videos and I was like, damn, I can relate to this. These are the girls that inspired me years back to start my digital community. And very early on I realized that I don't enjoy the clutter, and I also realized that I've been a victim of hoarding, which is why I have so many worst purchases of my early 20s which I can't wait to share with you. Number 1, nail paints of every color under the sun. I would enter a drugstore and I would see the nail paints pile and I was like, oh, I need that mint green nail paint, I need the parrot green, I need the bottle green, because that's the one shade that I don't have. And I would hoard on nail paints like anything. I had literally every shade under the sun. In fact, I had a whole drawer dedicated just for nail paints. My friends would call me and be like, we are coming to your house and you have to help us out, because I probably had more collection than some of the nail salons I had been to. There were a few reasons that this would never really get used up. Number 1 being that eventually I started to go out for manicures occasionally, and that's where I would get my nail paint done. Number 2, whenever I would do it by myself, I realized I would gravitate towards more neutrals like whites, beiges, grays, blacks, maximum are red. And then the third, which is the most frustrating part of it all, is every time you put a nail paint, it's like such a process by yourself. You have to wait like half an hour, and even if you open a drawer or wear your pants or go to the washroom, it would just get ruined. And it starts chipping in a day. Oh my god, it has been such a frustrating process. So now most of the time either I don't have it, or I actually enjoy using press-on nails, which are actually reusable. They don't really damage my nails. It's just so hassle-free. And just like the other nail paints, these also don't really last a long time in terms of like, they will come out, they will start to move around in a day or two, but which is completely okay because I anyway generally put nail paints on an occasional basis. But yes, there was a phase where I hoarded on them and I just had such a huge chunk that was a huge waste of money. Number 2 is new makeup releases or palettes. Oh my god, the amount of makeup I've hoarded in my life is absolutely unbelievable. When I started, Urban Decay came out with their Naked palettes and they were like the thing. So then they came out with Naked, then they came out with Naked 2, 3, Basics, Ultimate Basics, and I had all of them. I would stand in lines to get them on time, and this was with any new brand's collection that I would have. And eventually I realized that there is a certain kind of look that I like, and there are only these holy grails that are really good that I go back to, and all of these things are just a complete waste bunch of makeup products that's just piling on, never getting used up. And eventually I decluttered it, donated them, gave it to some of my friends. And I have to be honest, the beauty community is responsible for it. You see all these videos of like drawers of IKEA filled with lots of makeup, and you kind of assume that you need this new makeup all the time. It's just such a rat race of constantly hoarding. And in fact, to be very honest, you guys, I teach makeup and I have clients that have more makeup than I do, and I probably put makeup every single day, and these clients of mine put makeup occasionally, which just goes to show that this hoarding culture is so big. And I would really encourage you to kind of stop and think about how much do you really use your things and then buy them. Oh, this next one I'm honestly embarrassed to show you guys. So it is this pair of heels. Ta-da! Oh my gosh, I can't believe I've bought them. They are gorgeous. But look at them, how big are they? They are as big as my face. I vividly remember when I was in London for my summer school, they took us to a field trip to Notting Hill. And I was on this beautiful street with beautiful colored buildings, such an inspirational vibe. It had these cute boutiques. I was in a fashion school. I was so inspired. And I saw Kurt Geiger there. I entered, I saw this shoe screaming at me, and I bought it. I tried it. I felt like, oh wow, this is such a statement piece. It's gonna be so good for my collection. And there was a point where I was really wearing high heels, and I thought, you know what? Even this high heel would be something that I could easily use up. Guess what? I could never wear them. I'm ashamed to say I've never ever used this pair. Actually, I've used them once for a special occasion, but I removed them after a few hours because they were unbearable to walk in, and I almost felt like I would just literally fall down. And in fact, every time I would wear them, and by the time I would reach the door of my house, I was like, no man, you're 100% going to fall. They're absolutely uncomfortable. They are so high heeled. I think you really need to be one of those experienced models of runway to be able to carry this. And I think this was about 100 or 110 pounds, which is close to 10,000, you guys. Oh my god, Heena, I can't believe you've done this. Anyway, that's not the only one. I had this thing for high heels and I felt like I could use them, and I would convince myself that I could walk in them extremely comfortably and they would be very useful to me. So another blunder like that was these 9 West heels. Like, oh my god, look at this. Same thing, ridiculously big as my face, but I've never wore them out, not even a single time. You have just embarrassed yourself in front of the internet like nobody's business. I don't make blind purchases like this anymore, but there was a phase in my early 20s where I felt like I was on top of the world and every girl on the runway was wearing it, all of my friends were wearing it, and I needed to be that person, so I would keep buying it. Next one is this Marc Jacobs perfume. I was at the airport one of the times and I was like, wow, what a beautiful packaging. It's in a shape of a purse, it looks gorgeous. I actually smelled it, it smelled fine. I thought this would look beautiful on my vanity and I got it. And this isn't the first perfume I've bought for its packaging, to be very honest. But I got this one and till date, I just have never used it. Like, of course I used it once or twice, didn't like the fragrance, and it's just there. The fragrance didn't work for me or what, it just never got used up, and I feel like it was such a waste because of course Marc Jacobs, it had to be expensive for a perfume, and it just burnt my heart because I think it was one of those perfumes I bought with my own earned money and it wasn't a gift, and it was like, oh, pinching me. Next one would be home decor trinkets. Again, I have bought so many of these, I don't know why. It's like these random miscellaneous home decor things that you feel like are extremely useful. I got one of these like wire protectors which just didn't work at all. It was like such a small trinket waste. Some of my biggest wastes have been like these jewelry storage boxes. So I had this ring jewelry storage box where I felt like, oh, I'm gonna store all my rings because I really like wearing rings, and it wouldn't even fit my bigger rings, and honestly they just looked ugly on the vanity. In fact, I even got one of those like cupcake stands for jewelry storage. Sometimes you see all these videos and you feel like this would look really pretty in your house and you don't really know what's your personal aesthetic. The thing is that in India, when you keep jewelry outside, it really starts to rust very fast because of the weather, and I'm sure in various other countries with similar weather. It just was something that I couldn't keep out. These home decor trinkets that I would keep buying are actually such a huge waste. Next one really pinches my heart. It is all kinds of formal clothing, like the proper corporate formal clothing. So now this one has a little bit of a backstory. So when I started doing my course of image consulting, we learned something called the more authoritative you want to look, you need like these blazers and these formal pieces. And I went and got these extreme formal pieces that probably you need in a corporate situation. Now, the trick here is to kind of understand that your lifestyle may not need that level of formal dressing, and I went and got like proper formal pantsuits of these neutral colors, and I got like the pencil skirts that you see in movies, and it's never really useful, and it's honestly really uncomfortable. At least I found it really uncomfortable, and you end up really not using them. And for the price you pay, like each good quality suit is nothing less than a 10k. Very few brands actually do it under that price point, and I actually went and got some really good quality ones. I've actually sold quite a few of them, but I still have some. And I just wonder, what was I thinking? This also brings me to the point of kind of understand your personal style, because I realized that nor does my job demand it, nor does my personal style reflect that, and you end up spending on clothing that you feel like you need but you don't really need. As we talk about wishful thinking, the next one is gym memberships or any kind of these membership classes. Now, don't get me wrong, if there's one thing I've really missed in the lockdown is going for my Pilates or my gym. But what I'm talking about here is that wishful thinking. You join thinking that you will go, and you probably do go for a week or so. At least for me it's happened, where I take gym memberships where I go for a week, 10 days, and then I'm getting lazy. Then I'm like, I'll go tomorrow. Then I'm like, well, I'll start from Monday. And it's a cycle that never ends, and you just put in like a huge chunk of money for the whole year, and you end up just barely going for a week. Wow, that's embarrassing. I am also guilty of being a jewelry holder, especially those chunky jewelry. Honestly, I don't know what I was thinking when I got it. I think it's a really beautiful piece, and I do think when you wear it in pictures it looks super interesting, but I've never really used this piece up, and it's just something that I've just used for pictures, and I'm really guilty of buying these. Every time I would dress up, then eventually I would just gravitate towards more dainty pieces, more everyday pieces. Like I have this Michael Kors ring. I think I got it 6-7 years back, still looks really good. I still wear it pretty much every single day. So I consider them as some of the worst purchases I've made in my early 20s, because again, I've hoarded on them. So if somebody hasn't told you, I'm here to tell you that you don't really need to hoard on everything. You really don't need to invest so much of your money on something that isn't of value or of use in your life, which is why I've made this video. I hope it encourages you to put your money in the right place where exactly you will get its value out of. So I hope that my mindless choices help you make more mindful choices, and I've really enjoyed filming this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. As usual, a YouTuber's plugin had to be here, and I will see you guys very, very soon.